I had to get it. All right, we're up and running. People will start
right from the beginning that we kind of nailed some.
Georgia happened to have a little fake field goal play.
Well, I said they Auburn was susceptible to one, and I imagine Georgia had a different one than they ran last time, because that was going to be.
Yeah, you don't want to run that.
You don't want to
one
run
again.
the same one. So I was told that they had fixed, or not fixed, but they had come up with something different.
That was a good play. I mean, that was he had a little too much on it, but I'll tell you what, man, the place would have gone nuts if.
I mean, he's already a superhero around campus.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, but here's the thing: if you're going to do that, why use it in this game?
I can understand that. I mean, I overheard, or somebody asked me when we got out right afterward. Someone said, "Why do you do that there?" And I was like, "To give them hell, man." I mean, that's just a dick move. It's there's no real reason otherwise to do it. Thanks. Glad to be back, Marcus Whitworth. I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah.
Well, then Kirby did say, that gets them from 17 points. A field goal would have gone from 17 points. Bull crap. That was a kind of stick them in the. Well, yeah, it's not fair. I mean, that's probably a perfectly good reason why you would do that. But I mean,
I mean, I understand that. It's something that you probably could have cashed in, and maybe in a situation you would have needed it down the line. Yeah. But hey, now you got some in-game experience. It's another for people to be thinking about.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Okay, what you have, and Kirby's like, if you score 3 more points, then it's 20. They can win. They can get it with 3 touchdowns. But if you kick the field goal, you make them score 3 touchdowns, which they had not been able to do. Game. So
get to as many as we can here before we freeze to death.
It's cold as hell.
It's real bad tonight. It has not been this cold in all. I can't remember. I would follow DeAndre Swift's dad into work. You better well get behind him.
He probably started.
Yeah, you need to get behind that guy.
I love this.
What a psycho, man. Look, between Elijah Holyfield, they're more intimidating running back.
Others, yeah.
They will.
I thought about that.
I'd take those dads against anybody.
And Swift's dad looked like he could run for 188 yards.
Ryan Russell says Tyson Campbell, discuss.
Well, it looked like he got benched.
Yeah, I mean, he caught his lumps. I think that it was another pass interference. It's for Tyson. Look, this is freshman stuff. I mean, that's what it is.
Freshmen make mistakes.
Just like Kirby said about DeAndre Baker. He was like, hey, he's getting a lot of PIs too. He doesn't want to give up. He doesn't want to give up a completion. Tyson would rather take that PI, I think, in a lot of cases than.
And look at it. If you're Gus Malzahn, you're looking at Georgia's defense. Who can throw against? The true freshman or the first-round draft pick?
Yeah.
So everyone has made that exact same play this year. The same decision. And they're throwing Jason is a competitive guy. He maybe presses a little too long. Everyone's picking on him. So, but I heard someone earlier in the week say throwing against Tyson Campbell is a 50-50 ball, 50-50 chance, 50% they're going to catch it, 50% he's going to get pass interference. And I'm like, okay, well, I thought it was cruel, but then I'm starting to think about it. It's not exactly liability. He's made some great plays, but he has also cost you some. But, I mean, everybody had penalties on him, and Eric Stokes was right there battling him play for play in the fall camp for a starting spot.
And the thing about him is,
he does well.
The thing about it is, Eric's ceiling is probably more limited than Tyson's is overall, but very similar in respects to speed. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're talking about super fast guys. Build is pretty much the same. I mean, these are a couple of guys who I think compare favorably. It's just taking Eric more time to come along.
Well, he didn't even play quarterback, yeah.
Exactly.
And look at it this way: when you have a guy like Tyson, who's a fantastic player, he may be one of the only guys in that secondary who could keep up with Anthony Schwartz or Shivers, guys like that. I mean, Auburn has track superstars on that team. So if you're going to replace him, you damn sure better replace him with another track superstar in Eric Stokes, a guy who can also run a 10-3. So I thought Eric had a good game.
Goal line offense scores less than me in college. It's
Hey, wait, nobody scored that little.
that is. I mean, what do you make of it?
You know, I wanted to go back and actually look from where Georgia, twice they got pass interference calls and got the ball in the 2, then they got down there another time. And I think we should go back and look at the negative yardage they got. I think from inside the 5, they probably have minus 30 yards.
Yeah, I would definitely believe that. I mean, I think that it's this. But honestly, I think that this situation against this team today is a lot less surprising than in the previous 2 weeks. The goal line struggles that you had. This was to
How
me.
the hell have you not fixed it?
I agree with that, but I'm saying it makes more sense to me that you would struggle against
Yes.
this team with
Yes.
the front 7 that they have, the big
Very
bodies
fair.
up front. Auburn was a team that when you get down there and it's just that close, the
And-
bigger you are, the harder it is.
And let's be fair. You know, people say, well, you ran for what, how many yards?
303.
303 yards on them. Now, it's a lot easier to do that in the middle of the field than it is the goal line. The safeties aren't right there. They don't have all those bodies on it. And when you line up on the 2, they bring their big bodies and A gaps are both filled, B gaps are both filled, C gaps are both filled. It's a little bit harder to do it. You know, it's man on man, body on hat. It's a lot harder to do. But where's that naked bootleg? You know, where's the they finally brought in a tight end. That didn't work. And for all the people that say, well, if you just put in Justin Fields, that'll solve all your issues, it will not. Again, a freshman mistake.
Yeah,
A guy
big
who's trying to
time,
make a
big
play.
time.
We saw a lot of freshman mistakes, but again, these are mistakes they won't be making next year.
Brian Adams says, with the O-line we have, this isn't a player problem, it's a coaching problem. I'm going to disagree with that. I think that there's nobody that you've got who could lead that group better than Sam Pittman. I get maybe some of the play call is suspect, but look, it's not like Georgia's standing pat on it. They're
No.
trying different things. This is not them beating their head against a wall.
Here's the thing. It's a group effort because, yeah, you have great offensive linemen, but can Lamont Galliard move out Derek Brown? Move him
Can anybody?
6 feet. Okay, that's on the 2.
Yeah.
You got to move him 6 feet into the end zone to get him. No, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I get it.
You know,
I get it. Marlon Davidson, same way. I mean,
yeah.
the guy's a stud.
But you couldn't do it against Kentucky then. You couldn't do it against Florida.
Right,
So to your
right,
point,
right.
I get it this week. But here's the thing. When Georgia calls the right play, they don't execute it. Go back to that Florida game where Swift runs to the outside. Luke Ford is leading him to the promised land, and he runs to the outside of him right into a Florida defender. So Jim Chaney called the right play. They didn't execute it. And then when they do execute it, it's the wrong play. The first goal line play down here was a bad play call, So it's 6-1. I think it's mental now. I think it's really in their heads.
I think that's totally possible at this point. I mean, you have to think so with as many times as they've struck out.
But they still haven't run that naked bootleg. So we keep moving the goalposts. It's like, well, if you don't, you need to put in Justin Fields. You need to huddle before you do it. We could come up with all these stuff, and now, well, where's the naked bootleg?
Marcus Whitworth says, did Cade re-injure his shoulder? He was a little banged up, but Kirby didn't seem very concerned about that. Kendall Baker was a bit more of a question mark. He said he wasn't really sure what happened with him after the game, so that's something we'll have to check on Monday during the press conference there. But and
again, Kendall had success against this team in the SEC championship. So if you're going to bring somebody in,
but again, it's week in, week out. It's happening. I've never seen a group more snake bit, just by these little bitty things. No post-game Waffle House meal for the Gus Bus. People were asking, too, I don't know if you've seen it. I caught it briefly before we came out here, the clip of Malzahn. That looks like, if you're reading his lips, he says, they're going to fire my ass. I don't know if that's exactly what he said.
Well,
but
no,
it
his
sure looked
athletic
like.
director came out and said he'll be the coach next year. $49 million if he scored 10 points.
Let's see, Galliard sit for UMass. I think that's possible.
Lamont,
not the whole game.
Lamont said he was feeling great. So.
Well, he told us, was Brenton Cox out there playing? Did not see him out there. I didn't see him very much at all.
I don't think I saw him at all.
I saw him post game wearing a hoodie under his jersey. So looked like he might not have been on. He might be on the DMP.
That might be something to check. I mean, if you're Geno Atkins, you wear a shirt underneath it, like an absolute monster, long sleeve shirt. But when you're wearing a hoodie, That's not standard gear.
Yeah, a lot of Adam Anderson tonight says Michael Case and Barnes.
He chased Stidham and almost caught him before he got rid of the pass.
Yeah.
I thought he did really well.
And Kirby pointed out after the game, and I thought that it was a very it was something that people have talked about a lot. This idea of these guys feel like they're kind of coming on now. And Kirby said, we've been preparing these guys not for the start of the season, game 1, but we said maybe this guy can be ready by game 7, game 8, game 9. Now he can start helping us. He was like, and that takes snaps away from other guys, but they feel like these guys have developed. To a point where they're going to be able to get in here and contribute. Shout out to my man Dean trying to avoid the out of there. We got lucky from wasn't seriously hurt on that targeting call. That was scary. He took a shot. I can't believe he wasn't concussed, and he might have been. He might have just came in and played through that shit. But man, he got rocked.
Well, he's a tough kid. We've seen that, and I think on one of Justin Fields' carries when he got tackled, he was hit pretty hard, and I was expecting a flag to come in for targeting there too. How big was it though for that kid to get ejected?
Oh man, Big Cat Bryant. Mm-hmm. Got Georgia chased pretty hard right up until signing day.
Who predicted he was going to Auburn? The only one on staff. Well, the one I got right. The one guy I got right. So I have to
Brian Adams says I was expecting Fields to stay down that one play.
Thanks, Brian. That was a hell of a shot.
I mean, look, you knew it was going to be chippy. I mean, what happened at the start of the game also I thought was not a big surprise. It's kind of what I'd expected. That's what I told people. Auburn, I was not surprised to see Auburn come out and punch Georgia in the mouth and kind of make you. Withstand that, kind of hold through that, and have to play through it. Because, frankly, they like I said, they're a talented team.
When we did I did a show with 11 Alive before the game started, and the guys at 11 Alive, Georgia's got this bagged up, and I said, no, I'm a little worried about it, because I always worry about Georgia-Auburn. You always get some weird stuff going on in those games. And, well, not so much lately inside Sanford Stadium. Auburn has been terrible inside Sanford Stadium last 3 trips. They've only had 1 TD the last 3 times. 7 points, 7 points, and 10 points. Not exactly stellar, but Georgia went down there last year as the #1 team in the nation, got their heads kicked in. So you get weird Georgia-Auburn games.
Absolutely.
And I told them, I said, look, they said, well, what are you worried about? I'm like, Stidham getting hot. Stidham all of a sudden just lighting them up. And for a while there, all that dinking and dunking and just zipping down the field, that looked pretty effective. So. But to your point, Georgia withstood that barrage after it was only the second. We're about to get hit.
No, they are though. Right. I can't resist. I'm sorry.
So we had they withstood that second barrage. I mean, they gave the score on the second drive, but that was it.
Yeah,
That mind-boggling. And the fact that Georgia said, you've got all those great defensive linemen. The one thing I said Georgia would not do is run right into him, and Georgia did it all day long. I was like, damn.
Absolutely.
So that, and I asked Lamont Gaillard, I'm like, was that on design? You trying to outman them? He goes, they got big guys, we got big guys, we push them, and
E-Pandit says a lot of people asking about recruiting. He sits over under 4 commits this weekend. I'll take the under on that for sure. It wouldn't surprise me if somebody maybe made a decision. I mean, I think a guy like Andy Boykin, this would make a lot of sense for him, former Auburn commit. Been looking at Georgia very hard. He was here today, very early on in the process. I think that it was, look, I'll tell you this. I'll give you a little secret for those of you watching live. See, this is why you tune in live. If you get over to UGA Sports right now, I've got the full gallery up. I've set it free. So we'll see.
You're giving away the goodies.
Go over and check it out. Go over and give it a look. You can see all the guys that were here. I mean, it was a loaded field. It was just as good as everybody thought it was going to be. E-Pandit says, was Nick Cross here? I didn't spot Nick Cross. That's not to say that he wasn't here, but there were a million dudes. So I think it was... it was tough. Who's the man-child? Holy cow. That guy is Wisdom Asaburo, and I'll be damned if that kid is 17 or 18 years old. That kid is a Nigerian import, and I believe he might be 35. But he's a high school player. What's going to be interesting with him is if he's a 2019 or 2020 guy. Matt Daniel says, any thoughts on Papo? I think that this was, if you're Owen Papo, gotta like what you saw tonight out of Georgia. I mean, and you got to be concerned with what you've seen out of Auburn this season.
Gotta like to see that Monty Rice is leading the team in tackles, and that could be you. And you saw what Roquan Smith did, and you're like, hey, I could be that guy.
And he was sporting the Georgia hoodie tonight. I've got that up in the gallery, so go check it out. James Crump, think Hazelwood comes back. I definitely didn't see Jaden here today. He was not expected, so it wasn't a big surprise that we were missing him over here.
Maybe Georgia switches to being an Adidas school.
Yeah, oh, well, maybe. But, no, I don't know about Hazelwood. I don't feel good about it.
There was a question about Pickens.
Okay,
Pickens
yeah.
visiting.
So I'll tell you this, too. This was, I thought, somebody needs to tell Kirby Smart this happened, because I can't imagine him being too happy about it. Old Cam Newton was on the sidelines hugging up on George Pickens.
What?
Yeah, he was walking around.
Who the hell gave him a sideline
Yeah,
pass?
that's what I'm saying. You know?
Now, and here was this. I thought was okay. If I saying something, I don't want to get all these Auburn people on my ass. But when Auburn scored his first touchdown, there's video I'm sure out there of Cam, in front of all the photographers, walking down the sideline, going. You just kind of like, oh my God, did you see how easily they scored? And I'm like, dude, don't be a dick.
Yeah,
if you're going to be in someone else's stadium, and they score, you don't get out in front of all the cameras and make a big scene drawing attention to you.
Well, that's what I'm saying. There's no way you're going to tell me that Kirby Smart's going to be okay with the idea that they have 5-star wide receiver George Pickens on campus, an Auburn commit, and you got Cam Newton going up to him, buddy.
Superstar quarterback, one of the top guys in the league, all eyes on him. Wearing the skunk tip fox, whatever he had going on,
that was an interesting look.
Fashion plate, and he's over there hugging on him. But to get back to the question, Georgia would love to get him. Pickens is going to be a monster, but I don't see it happening.
Absolutely. No, I don't either. I think even if he weren't to go to Auburn, I think he'd go to Alabama. So
still mad about this for kicking his ass.
No, I think it was like I said, loaded up recruiting day. Make sure to go check out that gallery. It's loaded.
We'll have updates hopefully tomorrow. A lot of those guys, now here's the thing, people will start asking first thing in the morning, hey, can you give us updates on them? A lot of those guys are still visiting. They won't leave until tomorrow afternoon, so you might want to tune in Sunday night, Monday morning before you start hitting it up.
There you go. Overall, just impressions, anything that stood out to you about this game?
DeAndre Swift, 186 yards rushing, 44 receiving, 43.
He told us
led the team in rushing and receiving.
He told us after the game in the post-game press conferences. He said, "I am definitely still not 100%." He said, "I am not." He said, He said, "I got a foot thing from LSU that's still lingering. My groin's still bothering me." He said, "I'm not close to 100%." Swift looks like Sony senior year. Hey. Shout out to me, because I told you that I think he compares favorably to Sonny with all the things he does out of the backfield.
Did you see both times when he was in the open field, he starts high stepping, and that it's like snake charmer.
Yeah,
those defensive backs are like, what the hell is he doing?
It's Eric Dickerson's move.
And then when he settles down and goes left, right, there's a jock still out there from where he took this guy out of his job.
Yeah,
they need to go pick that up.
That man had a family. He did not have to do that to him.
That Auburn kid's girlfriend just broke up with him. They're like, I cannot be seen with you after that video. I mean, he made that poor kid look bad.
Let's see. More consistent play out of the inside linebackers. Monty and Tay played well, so Dylan Brooks. I thought so overall. It was good to see Tay Crowder get the start.
He did miss a tackle early in the game, but he made up for it later on. He dropped into coverage really well. And Marlo Herrera came up to me before the game, and he's like, hey, 32, Monty Rice. He's going to have it. And, Marlo having played that position, he called it. He has seen the return of Monty Rice. And shout out to Marlo and Tavares King and all the guys who were in town. It was kind of nice to have, you had Noshawn Marino,
huge,
Davin Bellamy. That must have been 25 former players come back for this game. So very cool to have those guys around.
Good question here from Thomas Norby. He said scale of 1 to 10 atmosphere tonight in the stadium. It was really loud. It was super loud. Yeah, it was.
Only thing that could have made it better is if they'd come out in black jerseys, which we told you they were not going to.
Or if Rodrigo would have hit the pass. That would have set it over. Who did Otis Reese start over? Was it Reed? That's just a situational thing, I think. For the most part, it's a drop him in, then kind of pull him right back out.
Yeah.
It's all about personnel groupings. It's not necessarily he's the starter.
Which was why last week everyone thought, I think his dad went on social media or something like right before the game and said, "Hey, Otis, just told me he's going to start." But then the personnel group that Kentucky came out in, they're like, "Oh no, we need to go back to our standard grouping." So.
Bash Gaming says, do you think Georgia Tech game being at night would help recruits? I do. But that's a tough weekend anyway. It's Thanksgiving weekend. That kind of cuts into things as well. There's a lot of great rivalry games going on that weekend, so guys get out on the road for those. Let's face it, Georgia Tech is not it matters in the state of Georgia. On the grand scale, people don't look at it the same.
No, this is the big one. And you have the situation where that noon game, if these kids are in the playoffs,
right?
And those playoff travel.
Yeah, you're going to get a Thanksgiving playoff game Friday night late
with some of these things with like a 4-hour drive,
and then flip around.
So,
yeah, that's tough. So. Let's see, Roddy, you said on the podcast this week Anderson's bend is unreal. I said that, but we can.
I'll take it. Yes, I said it. I was correct.
Yeah, it is. His bend is unreal. And somebody said he looks a lot like Leonard Floyd out there running around. I think that's a very apt comparison.
Let him put on. Do you remember how much muscle Floyd put on when he went to Hargrave?
Yeah.
And he came back. I didn't recognize him when he came back. I was like, holy crap, who's that guy?
Yeah, and that's the thing about Adam. He's still growing.
Yeah.
He's a growing boy.
He's got to put on some weight. Cox is going to fill out a little bit. Well, just look at DeAndre Walker, who also had a monster game. So very impressed with him. But you're talking about overall impressions of this game. I'm just still stunned at the fact that Georgia said, you got all those 4-star, 5-star defensive linemen. I would compare those guys to what Alabama has,
Absolutely.
what Clemson has.
Absolutely.
These are kids we covered in recruiting. These are kids that Georgia wanted. Georgia went, full board, tried to land them. These are kids that went to Auburn. They're all kind of collected right there on the defensive line, and Georgia ran right into their teeth with, Cade Mays and Isaiah Wilson.
How great do you think that felt to say to those guys?
That locker room.
All right, you didn't come here.
Yeah.
All right, we'll whoop that ass up.
Well, Derek Brown's kind of like. Normally you'd be like, "Hey, Roddy, how's it going?" But he's like, so yeah, Derek was not a happy camper.
Brian Adams says, so you're saying we have a chance in the SEC championship game. Nobody's saying that yet.
No,
all right? Don't confuse anything we said tonight with that. That's a whole different ballgame.
But actually, I spoke to a national guy. I'm not going to mention him. I don't want to, because he can't come across as biased. But he said Georgia has a chance against Alabama if they can run it. And what I saw tonight was a team that said, we're willing to run right at your best players. So,
that's true.
And again, I think Georgia had the ball for like 38 minutes or something like that. They had it forever. 38 minutes to 21 minutes.
John Allen says, Fromm can't beat Bama. He is mediocre at best. A lot of people would settle for that mediocrity, my friend.
He was whooping them pretty good when they went head to head. So.
Ever since LSU, we haven't given up on the run, says Logan Mack. I think that was Georgia trying to get back to. They realized that's what cost them very huge in that game. I think getting away from that. Now you're back to your identity, what you want to do. I think that's.
Well, you've built this team from the ground up as a run-first team.
Yeah.
You're not. Those are not pass pro offensive tackles and guards and centers. They can do it. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I'm not banging on anybody, but those guys are. And shout out to Big Ben Cleveland coming in. I hate that he had to come in for an injured Kendall Baker, but. He's
good
finally
to see him back.
Yeah, and he was happy to be out there. And the first thing they did was run right behind him. He was in a scrum. I'm like, hey, his leg's broken. Be careful. But no, he went right at it. It was great.
All right, we'll kind of wrap some things up here a little bit. Game balls. Who you giving one to?
DeAndre Swift and his dad.
Yeah, you better give one to his dad and whip your ass.
Scared to give him away to the I think you got to give one.
Oh shit!
I missed this.
Yeah. All right. There we go.
By a foot. It missed us by 1 foot.
That is elite. That is elite speed. That's what we have, guys. Incredible awareness, elite speed.
Now you can hear it when it's coming behind you. We're going to say the camera. What were you even talking about?
We were talking about game balls. And we gave one to Swift and his dad.
No, I give one to Jake Fromm. I know a lot of people are like, no, again, there was another game where they were running, but he got them into the right plays. And I don't know, 13 of 20, 193 yards, 2 touchdowns. Some of his, he did mess up on a couple passes. There were a couple passes that, you've got to throw better than that. But he had some very good ones, too. So those crossing patterns, the one to 82.
82?
Yeah.
That makes me think of Michael Chigba. Wasn't he 82?
No, Tyler Simmons.
He's 87.
87. That's what I could think of. The one to Tyler Simmons I thought was a great pass, across the body.
Absolutely.
So, I'd give him one. You got to give one to Monty Rice, leading the team in tackles.
Absolutely.
DeAndre Walker, got to give him another. He gets one every week.
Hey, I got one for you. Second in the team on tackles, Mark Webb.
Yeah.
Good ball.
Pretty good for a wide receiver.
For him. Not bad. Yeah. And hey, Philly stood up tonight, man. You gotta love that.
Everyone wants to give one to Jake Camarda. I thought he punted well, but Mecole Hardman for dropping that ball on the one.
Getting there. Yeah. You know how bad. And I'll tell you
twice
this.
He's done that.
I'll tell you this. I think he loves that just as much as catching a touchdown.
Yeah.
He revels in that just as good.
He celebrates as much when he comes.
Oh,
up
absolutely,
there. Yeah.
absolutely.
And again, Mecole on the kick return. Get him out to the 40. That's pretty impressive. He does. It's funny you say that, Brian. Brian says it seems like he knows where to go. I actually watched him. I'm like, if anybody's going to stop this. So he's your gunner from the left-hand side. He's running down there. And of all the guys that made it to the end, he was one that looked up mid-flight, adjusted his path, and was waiting on that ball to hit.
Yeah.
So. Good
instincts. We taught him everything he knows.
Have to give a game ball also to Terry Godwin.
Yep. Oh, sure.
I thought and that's the other thing about the team, if you will, third down conversions.
Yeah.
That was unreal.
I can't believe
8 of 14.
I cannot believe how far that has come over the last few weeks. Say what you will about the goal line struggles, definitely still a concern. To be able to fix that third down efficiency, though, is huge. I think that's benefiting Georgia in many, many ways.
You want the game in a nutshell? 8 of 14 for Georgia on third down conversions. 3 of 11 for Auburn.
Bingo, bango.
I mean, you'll win that every day. So I thought that the catches Terry Godwin had in traffic and turning them up were big, but that was impressive.
All right. Let's go ahead and wrap this thing up for tonight. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube page, please make sure you do. Just click the little subscribe button. When we go live, you'll know all about it, and we'd love to have you as part of that. Also, get over to UGAsports.com. We've got Kirby Smart's full presser. We've got all the player interviews coming up. Tons of stuff going on over there. Recruiting gallery, like I said, free for now. We'll see how long the curmudgeon keeps
we'll leave it up.
Okay, but
my photo gallery's behind the button.
But get over there and check everything out. We've got a ton of stuff, more stuff coming throughout the night. Be tuned in tomorrow and Monday for sure, because we'll have press conferences on Monday, but we'll also have recruit reaction coming in all week. So get over and check that out. See y'all at Toppers. We'll be there. See John Allen.
Captain and Coke. Yeah. Well, Captain and Diet Coke. I got to watch my figure. So.
See y'all. Thanks, guys.
I know.